You might think your AI-made 8-sticker draft is completely finished and, ready to upload, but it could actually still be hiding tiny text, edge collisions, non-transparent backgrounds, duplicate ideas, promotional wording, and major rights risks.
Yeah, that's exactly where most people fail.
Right. So don't worry, because by the end of this deep dive into the source material, you will have a bulletproof pre-submission checklist to repair these exact issues. This is AI Everyday Lab. Fix review risks before your AI sticker set leaves your desk.
It really is the single most critical checkpoint in a creator's workflow. I mean, frankly, the submission portal is where the vast majority of beautiful AI artwork just goes to die.
I am so glad we're focusing strictly on this final hurdle, because just to set the mission for our deep dive today, we are not doing a zero to draft tutorial. We aren't going to talk about how to prompt a generative AI to make a cute dog or a funny cat or whatever.
Right, we're assuming you already have those files.
Exactly. We are operating under the assumption that you already have a folder full of those raw image files sitting on your desktop right now. This is the pre-submission repair pass.
Which is so necessary
Yeah.
because, pulling a great image out of an AI generator is really only step one. Passing the line creator's market review process requires a totally different set of technical and editorial muscles.
Yeah. And creators who skip this phase often lose weeks.
Weeks or sometimes even months,
Yeah.
they get stuck in this miserable loop where they submit their pack, they wait, and then they get a highly ambiguous rejection notice.
Oh, that sounds so frustrating.
It is, and then they try to blindly guess what triggered it, resubmit, and just fail again.
Okay, let's unpack this. Wait, so I can't just click export from my AI image generator and upload those files straight to Line. The AI isn't smart enough to just output the correct format?
Not even close, honestly.
Mhm.
Generative AI models are designed to create compelling visuals, not to strictly adhere to proprietary file structures or alpha channel transparency.
Or platform-specific user interface guidelines, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly. They just don't know the rules.
I like to think of that raw AI output as a freshly mined diamond. I mean, it obviously has inherent value and it might look pretty, but it's completely raw. It has jagged edges, it's covered in rock and dirt.
That is a great way to look at it.
You can't just shove a raw diamond into a jewelry box. You need a very specific digital workbench, meaning you need public tools to cut, polish, and set that diamond so it actually fits the ring, or, in this case, the mobile chat window.
That analogy highlights the workflow perfectly. Because before we even touch those image files, we have to talk about assembling that digital workbench. You need a systematic workflow utilizing standard public tools.
Okay, so what's the first tool you need?
The very first tool you need is an AI text chat tool to handle the auditing and brainstorming phase.
Wait, I'm using a text AI to audit my images. How does that actually work in practice?
Well, you use it to build a comprehensive risk table. You take your draft, say stickers 1 through 8, and you document the core metadata for each one.
Okay, what kind of metadata?
You list the phrase in the image, the core emotion being conveyed, how it is actually intended to be used in a daily text chat, and any potential rights or readability risks you spot. You essentially force yourself to justify the existence of every single sticker.
Oh, wow. So if I notice that 3 of my stickers are essentially just variations of a character looking happy, my risk table exposes that lack of variety right away.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And if the phrase attached to one of those happy faces feels incredibly weak or unnatural, you could feed that context back into the text AI.
To suggest punchier, more conversational rewrites, right?
Yes, exactly. And once you audited the concepts, you move to the visual direction phase.
Yeah.
This is where you have to use image or drawing tools to ensure you maintain consistent character directions.
Right, like making sure you have distinct poses and that the expressions are easily readable.
And most importantly, you have to actively ensure that no famous characters or highly recognizable protected artistic styles have crept into the generation.
Because AI models are notorious for defaulting to popular intellectual property if you aren't careful. We will definitely get into those specific rights risks shortly. But what about the final polish?
Well, for asset cleanup, you absolutely need dedicated image editors on your workbench. We were talking about tools like Photopea, Canva, Photoshop, or Clip Studio Paint.
So basically standard graphic design software.
Yeah, these are non-negotiable for transparent PNG cleanup and precise resizing.
Why those specific tools, though? Why can't I just use a basic default photo viewer on my computer to crop the image?
Because basic tools and native AI exports ignore strict edge feathering controls and alpha channel management. When you remove a background, you really need software that allows you to zoom in.
Ah, to manually clean up the pixels.
Right, to manually clean up the pixels around the edges of your character so they don't look jagged or haloed against a dark background.
That makes a lot of sense. You need professional grade scissors, essentially. So now that our tools are ready, what are the exact technical targets our files must hit? Because if we don't hit these numbers perfectly, we face an instant automated rejection before a human reviewer even logs in for the day.
The strict numbers are really your first major hurdle. Let's lay out the official line specs, starting with the format. You can only upload PNG files,
Okay, PNG only. Got it.
and they must be in RGB color mode and set to at least 72 dpi. Plus, the backgrounds absolutely must be transparent.
Well, the RGB requirement makes total sense since these are being viewed on digital screens emitting light rather than CMYK, which is used for printing ink on paper.
Yes, exactly.
And 72 dpi is pretty much the standard resolution for screens. Anything higher just needlessly bloats the file size without actually improving the visual quality on a mobile phone.
Which brings us directly to file sizes. The absolute maximum weight is 1 megabyte per image.
Oh, so they have to be pretty lean.
Very lean. And if you decide to upload your entire set at once in a ZIP file, that ZIP must be 60 megabytes or smaller.
Why is it so strict?
Line enforces this because users are often downloading these sets on cellular data networks. They just can't have massive, unoptimized files clogging up the app.
Makes sense. Let's talk about the dimensions, because there isn't just one size you have to worry about. You need a few different types of images to complete a single submission.
Yes, there are 3 distinct asset types you need. First is the main image. This is the image that represents your entire pack in the storefront window.
And what are the specs for that one?
It must be exactly 240 by 240 pixels. Second is the chat thumbnail. That's the tiny little icon you physically tap on your digital keyboard to open the sticker set inside a chat.
Which I imagine has to be pretty small.
It does.
Okay.
Because it has to fit on that tiny physical real estate, it must be exactly 96 by 74 pixels.
And then you have the stickers themselves. I mean, you can't just submit any random number, right? Like, you couldn't just upload 12 stickers.
Correct. You can only submit specific counts. It has to be 8, 16, 24, 32, or 40 stickers. And each of those individual sticker images can be a maximum of 370 by 320 pixels.
But I know there is a crucial formatting quirk here that trips up almost everyone. You were explicitly told not to fill that entire 370 by 320 box. You need to leave a margin of about 10 pixels around your trimmed content. Why is that padding so necessary?
Well, think about the user interface of a chat application. If your character's hand goes all the way to the very edge of the 370 pixel boundary when it renders in the app, it will look awkwardly crammed against the side of the chat bubble.
Or just right up against the edge of the phone screen.
Right. That 10-pixel margin acts as a visual buffer, giving the artwork room to breathe so it feels naturally integrated into the conversation thread.
That padding is super crucial. But there is another highly specific rule in the official specs that always sounds minor to beginners but will cause an instant automated rejection, and that's that your dimensions must be even numbers.
Oh yeah, this is one of the most common pitfalls. If you crop an image and it ends up being, say, 361 pixels wide, the system just kicks it right back.
I've always found the mechanics of that rule fascinating. Like, why does the even numbers rule matter so much to the platform's architecture?
It really comes down to the mechanics of optical scaling. Line system has to automatically scale your images down to display properly on a massive variety of devices.
Right, everything from huge tablet screens to tiny, older smartphones.
Exactly. So when a rendering system has to have a dimension that is an odd number, like your 361 pixels example, the math results in 180.5 pixels.
But a digital screen is made of a fixed grid of physical pixels. You can't display half a pixel.
You really can't. The software essentially panics.
Yeah.
It has to guess how to handle that fraction.
It's kind of like trying to split a physical LED bulb in half with a butter knife. The system obviously can't do it, so it just blurs the light across 2 surrounding pixels instead.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. And that blurring is called anti-aliasing. It completely ruins the crisp, clean edges of your artwork, leaving a fuzzy halo. Enforcing even numbers ensures clean, pixel-perfect division during auto-scaling across every device.
Okay, so hitting those exact technical specs gets your files past the automated upload screen. But then actual human reviewers are going to scrutinize the content. This is where we need to take those polished diamonds and rigorously audit them for the 6 major rejection risks. Let's start with risk 1 and risk 2, wrong format and poor visibility or margins.
The most common failure point for risk 1 is definitely the transparency error. AI generators natively output images on a solid background, usually white or some stylized color.
Right, and if you just upload that native file, a giant, ugly white square will float behind your character in the chat screen.
Exactly. It completely breaks the illusion of a sticker, and it's an instant rejection.
And people think they can just click the magic remove background button in Canva or iOS and be done with it. But automatic background removers are notoriously bad at handling edge cases.
Oh, they struggle so much. Like, if your character is wearing a white shirt on a white background, if you blindly trust the automation, you're going to end up with a headless, floating character.
Which is hilarious, but definitely won't pass review.
Which is why veteran creators utilize a strict 3-layer manual check for transparency. First, they use the automatic tool to strip the bulk of the background.
Okay, and then?
Second, they manually fine-tune the mask, painting back in the erased white shirts, or deleting the stubborn background artifacts trapped between a character's arms. Finally, they preview the transparent PNG against various line-style background colors.
Like checking it against the default sky blue, a pure black dark mode, and maybe a busy patterned wallpaper.
Precisely. You have to know it works everywhere.
That preview step transitions us perfectly into risk 2. Poor visibility. I've read so many forums where creators are devastated because they spent hours generating beautiful text only for it to be rejected for being too small. The consensus among successful creators is that your font size needs to be at least 18.
Yes, anything under 18 is a massive risk.
But why 18 specifically?
Because of the optical constraints we discussed earlier, when a 370-pixel image is scaled down to fit on a narrow smartphone screen, a font size of 12 or 14 simply turns into an illegible blur.
And reviewers are evaluating these stickers primarily for their utility in rapid communication, right?
Exactly. If the recipient has to squint to read the text, the sticker fails its primary function.
The style of the text matters just as much as the size, too. The repair here is to lean heavily into thick, rounded Gothic fonts. And interestingly, a lot of experts recommend using dark brown colors for your text and line art instead of pure black.
There is actually a physiological reason for that. Pure black text, hex code 000000, on a bright digital display creates an extreme level of contrast.
Oh, I see. In a rapid-fire text conversation, that harsh contrast can actually cause subtle eye strain.
Right, contrast fatigue, especially on modern ultra-bright OLED screens. Dark brown softens that harshness significantly, making the sticker feel warmer and easier to process while still remaining highly legible.
That is such a subtle but brilliant design choice. And speaking of legibility, here is a vital repair for visibility. You should always add a 1 to 2 pixel thick white border around your characters and your text.
Oh, absolutely, because non-users can change their chat wallpapers to literally anything.
Yeah, a dark photo of their dog, a neon geometric pattern, you name it. That white border acts as a mandatory buffer, ensuring your character pops and remains readable against any custom background.
That buffer is essential defense. Now, let's look at risk 3 and 4. Weak daily conversation use and low visual or text variety.
This one feels trickier because it sounds so subjective. I see creators get rejected for submitting stunning, highly detailed AI-generated scenery, or characters rendered in gorgeous but pale, washed-out watercolors.
Or worse, the AI generates 8 stickers, and it just spits out the exact same smiling face 8 times with slightly different text pasted underneath.
The reviewers are trained to look for utility, not just artistic merit, aren't they?
They really are. If a sticker pack significantly lacks visual variety, or if the images are difficult to deploy in a fast-paced chat, it will be rejected.
I always have to remind myself that stickers are a communication tool. They are not an art gallery. Your goal isn't just to show off a pretty picture. Your goal is to help two people efficiently communicate a feeling to each other.
Exactly. So your repair here requires heavy editorial oversight. You must heavily edit the concepts the AI gives you. Keep your phrases punchy and short. Think, thanks, on my way, or good job.
And if the AI gave you a gorgeous sweeping landscape,
You need to crop in tight on a character within that landscape and add an undeniable emotional reaction to their face.
yeah.
Furthermore, you must ensure that all 8 or 16 stickers have distinctly different silhouettes.
Right, like if you turn all your stickers completely black, can you still tell them apart just by their outlines?
Exactly. If not, you lack variety.
Which brings us to a major trap for AI users. Risk 5. Advertising, personal data, URLs, and referencing other messengers.
This happens a lot because of how AI language models are trained. They consume a massive amount of web copy, which is heavily promotional.
So if you ask an AI to generate text for a coffee-themed sticker, it often defaults to marketing speak.
Yes, it might output something like, Look for this in stores November 17th, or search for this brand online.
Or it might try to be helpful and invent a fake website URL right there in the image. I've even seen AI generate characters holding smartphones that have recognizable logos of competing chat apps on the screen.
And all of that violates the guidelines. The repair for this requires intense diligence. You must audit every single piece of text.
So you take those promotional sounding phrases back to your AI chat tool and explicitly instruct it to rewrite them into natural, everyday conversational phrases. By now needs to become "let's get coffee."
Precisely. And if there is a rogue logo on a phone screen, you must use your image editor to manually paint over it.
Okay, we need to talk about the most dangerous pitfall of all. Risk 6. Trademark, copyright, portrait, and copied style risks. When you are using AI generation, you are really playing with fire when it comes to intellectual property.
You truly are, because we have to remember how these generative models function. They are trained on vast data sets of existing art, photography, and pop culture.
So their latent space, the underlying web of concepts they use to generate images, is heavily weighted toward famous properties.
Exactly. If you simply prompt for an anime-style cute mouse, the AI is highly likely to traverse its latent space and output something that looks remarkably similar to a certain protected, world-famous electric yellow mouse.
And it isn't just the main characters that will get you flagged. Reviewers will reject a pack if they spot logos on the character's clothing, or if a coffee cup in the background has a green circle that looks slightly too much like a massive coffee franchise.
The platform's guidelines are incredibly comprehensive. They specifically point out risks that most beginners would never anticipate. For example, photographs using social media filters that alter a real person's face to look like a specific cartoon character are rejected.
Wow, really?
Yes, and submitting images of certain types of stuffed animals can even trigger copyright flags.
And the morality guidelines are just as strict. Any excessive skin exposure is heavily policed. And get this, that rule applies even to illustrations or photos of babies.
Right, if an AI generates a cute baby in a diaper, it might trigger a rejection based on the platform's global morality standards.
Which forces a very strategic question. If the AI naturally gravitates toward protected, copyrighted concepts, how do you force it to be original?
The repair here is a technique known as three-trait prompting.
Break that down for me. How does three-trait prompting actually work?
Well, you cannot rely on vague prompts like popular anime-style boy. The AI will just regurgitate a famous protagonist. Instead, you must anchor the prompt with three completely original, highly specific characteristics.
Okay, so first, you assign a unique physical feature. For instance, a yellow chick wearing oversized, scuffed black vintage headphones.
Perfect. Second, you assign a clear, dominating personality trait, like looks perpetually exhausted and caffeinated.
And third, you establish an original worldview or setting, like working a night shift at a 24-hour diner.
Yes. By forcing the AI to synthesize those three hyperspecific, unrelated traits together, you actively push it away from its default tendency to copy existing material. It has to invent something new to satisfy all three constraints simultaneously.
It scrambles the latent space just enough to generate original intellectual property that you can safely claim.
Precisely.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I've heard creators and forums say, well, I don't want to deal with all these copyright headaches. I'll just set my sticker pack to private in the submission portal so it doesn't show up in the public store. Since it's just for me and my friends, I can use whatever parodies or logos I want.
That is a very dangerous and fundamentally incorrect assumption. The private setting does not mean unreviewed.
Really? So they still check it?
Oh, absolutely. Even if a sticker pack is hidden from the main public storefront, Line still rigorously puts it through the exact same legal, moral, and copyright review process.
Wait, why do they care if it's hidden from the public store?
Because of how the app's ecosystem functions. If you send that private sticker in a chat to a friend, that friend can physically tap on the sticker you sent them.
Oh, and that tap takes them to a hidden purchase page where they can buy the pack for themselves.
Exactly. And from there, they can send it to 10 of their friends who can also tap it and buy it. The stickers are still entering the platform's commercial ecosystem.
Therefore, the platform retains immense legal liability, meaning your private pack must pass the exact same strict review as the most popular public packs.
You hit the nail on the head.
Wow. Private just means unlisted. It doesn't mean exempt. That is a massive detail that changes the entire approach. So to bring this all together, transforming a risky, raw AI draft into a perfectly formatted, legally compliant sticker set requires serious vigilance.
It does. It requires treating the AI as an assistant rather than a replacement for your own editorial judgment.
So what does this all mean for the creator sitting at their desk right now, staring at a folder of AI images? Let's distill everything we've covered into the core takeaways.
Absolutely. Here are the three non-negotiable takeaways you need to check off your list before you even think about hitting the submit button. Number one, technical precision is non-negotiable.
From the strict 1 MB file limit to ensuring every single dimension is an even number to prevent rendering glitches.
Right, and guaranteeing your backgrounds are completely manually checked for transparency. You must audit your specs against the official numbers before uploading.
Number 2, design for chat visibility.
Yes. Add those 1 to 2 pixel white borders around your artwork to protect it against custom wallpapers. Keep your font sizes at 18 or above, and utilize softer dark colors to prevent contrast fatigue on OLED screens.
And rigorously audit your concepts to ensure the image is actually useful as a communication tool in a fast-paced text conversation. Which brings us to takeaway number 3. Originality is mandatory.
Strip out all accidental logos, marketing speak, or recognizable parodies. Utilize the three-trait prompting method to aggressively steer the AI away from its default habit of copying existing intellectual property.
So it's basically a balance between tech specs and human oversight.
Exactly. The most important thing to remember is this. While AI is an incredible tool to audit your concepts, brainstorm ideas, and generate raw visual assets, you, the human creator, remain 100% responsible for the rights, the readability, the file specifications, the language, and the final submission decision.
You know, breaking down this rigorous process really shifts how you think about being a creator in the generative era. If the AI can now handle the heavy lifting of the actual rendering, like the shading, the line art, the color theory, then the true value of a creator fundamentally shifts.
That's a really interesting point. Shifts to what?
It shifts from illustration to empathy. The real skill isn't holding the pen anymore. It's how well you can predict what your friends, your family, or your target audience actually want to say to each other on a random Tuesday afternoon.
I completely agree.
You have to understand the human condition to make a good sticker. Empathy is the one thing the AI cannot verify for you.
That is a profound perspective. The technology provides the raw material, but the human element provides the curation, the utility, and the actual connection between users.
If this checklist says your next sticker set, like this video, subscribe to AI Everyday Lab, share it with a creator friend, and turn on notifications. Remember, your tools might be artificial, but the conversations you're building are real. Keep polishing those diamonds.